Across the endless dunes of Egypt, under a pale silver moon, people once believed. Death was not the end. It was a doorway to another realm where souls would be judged, reborn, or lost forever. And standing at that doorway was Anubis, the jackal-headed god, guardian of the dead, protector of the soul. No one born in light could understand death better than Anubis. According to the ancient myth, he was the son of Osiris, lord of life and rebirth and NetMyths, the wife of Seth, god of chaos and storms. One fateful night, driven by envy and forbidden desire, NetMyths disguised herself as Isis, the beloved wife of Osiris, and seduced him. From that secret union, a child was born in the desert, abandoned among the sands, nameless, alone, left to die. But as legend tells it, a black jackal appeared and lay beside the crying infant, guarding him through the cold night. It was said that the gods had sent the creature to protect what was destined to become divine. When Isis discovered the child, her heart filled with compassion. She took him in and named him Anubis, meaning the lost one protected. From that moment, his destiny was sealed, born of both life and chaos, raised between light and shadow. Years passed, and darkness fell upon the gods. Seth, Anubis's uncle, and by blood, his stepfather, burned with jealousy. He desired the throne of Osiris, the love of Isis, and the dominion over life itself. Through cunning and deceit, Seth trapped Osiris in a golden coffin, sealed it shut, and cast it into the Nile. He then tore the god's body into 14 pieces, scattering them across Egypt. Isis's cries echoed through the desert, and Anubis swore to bring his father back. He searched the lands, from the green banks of the Nile to the fiery sands of Nubia, until he found every fragment of Osiris's body. Deep beneath the earth, in a chamber of stone, Anubis began the first embalming ritual ever performed. He purified the body with sacred oils, dried it with salt, and wrapped it in linen, layer after layer, whispering ancient prayers for the journey beyond. Soft whispering sounds, like ghostly voices joining the chant when he placed the golden mask upon his father's face. A faint blue light filled the tomb. Osiris opened his eyes, reborn, no longer of the living world. From that moment, Osiris became the god of the afterlife. And Anubis, his devoted son, was named Lord of Mummification and Guardian of the Dead. To the ancient Egyptians, every soul had to face the Hall of Mat, where Anubis stood before the scales of truth. On one side, he placed the heart of the deceased, the seat of all memories, emotions, and sins. On the other, a white feather symbol of Mat, the goddess of truth and justice, sound of metal creaking. Soft chime as the scale tilts, if the heart was lighter than the feather. The soul was pure, free to enter the field of reeds, an eternal paradise. But if the heart weighed heavier, the monstrous Ammit, part lion, part crocodile, part hippo, would devour it whole, erasing that soul from existence forever. Anubis never judged, he merely balanced the scales, because to him, all souls were equal in death, kings and peasants alike. In every Egyptian funeral, the shadow of Anubis lingered unseen, yet ever present. Before the ceremony began, the mourners would fall silent, as the high priest, cloaked in black linen, stepped forward. Upon his face gleamed a mask, the head of a jackal, polished obsidian shining faintly in the torka. As he moved around the sarcophagus, the air thickened with the scent of incense and myrrh. He chanted ancient words, low, rhythmic, almost like breathing. Each syllable was meant to awaken the gods and guide the spirit of the departed through the perilous journey that waited beyond the veil. The priests believed that in those sacred moments, Anubis himself descended, his divine essence flowing through the priest's body, his eyes watching over the ritual, his unseen hands steadying the passage between life and eternity. No one dared to speak. Only the sound of the chant, the crackle of burning resin, and the slow, deliberate circling of the jackal-faced figure filled the chamber. To the grieving family, that figure was no longer human. He was Anubis, the guardian come to claim what was his when the final prayer was spoken. The priest would touch the mummy's lips with a small golden tool, performing the opening of the mouth ceremony. a rite meant to restore the senses of the dead, so that in the afterlife, the soul could see, speak, and breathe once more. It was not a farewell. It was a transition, a sacred promise that the spirit would not walk alone. For Anubis would walk beside them, silent but steadfast, leading them past the gates of night to stand before the gods. When the Greeks and Romans arrived in Egypt, they too were captivated by the black jackal god. They called him Anubis, a fusion of Hermes, messenger of souls, and Anubis. Both were seen as guides between life and death. Even in the later ages of Rome, Anubis appeared in secret texts of alchemy, a symbol of transformation, wisdom, and rebirth. Anubis was never the god of death itself. He was the guardian against it, the boundary between the living and the dead, the keeper of balance in a world where chaos always waited beyond the horizon, while others feared the stillness of the tomb. The Egyptians found comfort in his shadow, for they believed that death was not an ending, but a journey, one that could only be taken with a guide they could trust, and that guide was Anubis. He was not the cold hand that took life away, but the gentle one that helped the soul find its way home in their hearts. The Egyptians never prayed to escape death. They prayed that when it came, Anubis would be there to meet them. When the final breath left the body, when the room fell silent and the candles flickered low, they believed Anubis would come. His black jackal form emerging from the veil between worlds, he would kneel beside the body, place a hand cool, weightless upon the chest, and whisper softly, "Do not fear. I will guide you through the darkness." In that whisper was no menace, no doom, only the promise of safe passage, the assurance that every heart, no matter how heavy, would be judged with truth, not cruelty. Music swells, sunrise over the pyramids, light breaking through ancient stone, the Nile glimmering like liquid gold. For Anubis did not decide one's fate, he only held the scales. He weighed the heart against the feather of truth, and what came next depended not on the gods, but on the soul itself. He reminds us, even now, in every choice, in every silence, in every truth we hide, you cannot escape the judgment of your own heart. And perhaps that's the reason his legend endures. Because long after temples crumble and empires fade, Anubis still walks beside us, not as a god to be feared, but as a mirror of our own conscience, the quiet voice that asks, when the scales are set, will your heart be light enough to rise? So tell me, if you were to stand before the scales of Anubis, would your heart be lighter than a feather? Or heavy with the weight of unspoken truths?